Hey y'all, so we've been calling darkness light for centuries. Let's talk about the holidays that you think are holy, but aren't actually. This is episode 12, and we are talking about birthdays. And I know birthday's not really a holiday, but it's like a personal day for people. So Christians often say, oh, it's harmless, it's just a cake. I want to give my kids these gifts because I love them. But honestly, scripture never tells us to celebrate our birthdays. And it definitely never gives any of the instructions of the rituals that y'all do. I want to slow this down and show you what you're actually practicing. So the cake is almost always round. That is the traditional cake. And do you know why that is? In ancient pagan cultures, round cakes symbolize the sun or the moon, which is cycles of time, life, and rebirth. It is not accidental that you normally have a round cake. And those cakes were often offered to deities, connected to time, fertility, and fate. And you can see this anywhere in Greek or Roman mythology. All you gotta do is just search for the history. And you'll see that this was a practice long before birthdays. Oh, and then come the candles. Me coming out of witchcraft, I see the power behind candles and intention. So candles were placed on cakes to represent stars or spiritual guides that were watching over that person. The fire was not a decoration, y'all. It was believed that it carried their prayers upward to the deity that they were praying to. It's called intention. And a lot of Christians, y'all, want to say, oh, it's just candles, we're just making a wish. Who are you making a wish to? Not Yahuwah, or not God in your wording. Y'all are literally participating in a ritual, and just because y'all want to claim ignorance doesn't mean that's not what you're doing. It's not how the spiritual world works. And I want to be very clear that the wish that you're allowing your children to make and that you are making, that is not innocent either. Making a wish over a fire is invoking, it's an ancient practice, and it's tied to invoking this unseen deity for favor. So you're basically saying, Yahuwah, I know that you're not going to provide what I need, so I'm going to wish to this unseen deity and blow out a candle, and my prayers are going to go upwards to them because I can't honor you enough with my heart and my lips. Scripture never teaches wishing. If it does, I'd love to see the scripture on that, but I know that you can't provide it. It teaches us that we must pray to Yahuwah directly, humbly, and without ritual performances. We need to have a receiving heart, an open heart, ready to receive, ready to give, ready to be there for him. Whatever he needs from us, we're ready to do it. And to trust that he will always provide. Y'all, and then I want to talk about the singing, because stop singing this happy birthday nonsense. If you are a believer, stop doing it. Again, coming out of witchcraft, I see it so clearly. When you do a spell, you repeat it 3 times. Why? Because repetitive spoken phrases were used to invoke these blessings, these favors, or these protections over people by these unseen deities. And I'm telling you now, again, whether people intend it or not for that purpose, that structure mirrors invocation, not thanksgiving to Yahuwah. This is affirmation of the self, and it is a sin. And then let's highlight the gifts. All these presents. Do you really think that that's biblical to just keep giving all these presents and gifts? And now, personally, if I want to buy a piece of clothing for my children or my husband, I do it when they need it. I don't need one day to do these things. Do I tell them that I'm happy that they're born? Absolutely. I am so glad that Yahuwah graced my life with your presence, and I'm so glad that you are still here. That's it. We don't need all of the other charades and everything else. You don't need a bunch of presents trying to glorify your child or yourself. Yahuwah provides everything you need with plenty left over to share with others. Now for the believers or Christians, I want to ask y'all, where in scripture do you read that we are told to bake a cake, to light candles, to sing over ourselves, to make wishes, and to center a day around one entire person's birth? That isn't Yahuwah, and it isn't Yahusha. I mean, we don't even know Yahusha's birthday. That should tell you something. He's telling us it is not important the day of birth. In fact, the only birthdays mentioned in scripture is in, I wrote it down, Bereshit 40:20, and that was Pharaoh's birthday, and that ended in an execution. And then we have Herod's birthday, which was in Matthew, which is Matthew 14, verses 6 through 10. And what did that end in? Yohanan the Immerser, which is John the Baptist, beheading. Yeah, not good. Scripture does show us Job, which is Job, where it talks about how his children gathered for meals, but they didn't exalt themselves. That is the contrasting factor here. They didn't sing, they didn't ask for gifts, they didn't make wishes, they didn't have a birthday cake. They ate together, break bread together. And Job responded by sanctifying them, not celebrating them. So my big question is, if Yahuwah didn't command it, and scripture never models it, why are Christians defending it so fiercely?